What's up guys, it's Pedro here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial we're going to be talking about how we could print our doubly linked list in reverse. So to get started, you can see that we have our doubly linked list here, and if we want to print, the most logical step is to start at the end because we want to print this in reverse, and we could take advantage that tail is always pointing to the last node. Now the reason that we're able to actually print in reverse is because a doubly linked list, each node has a pointer to the previous node. So from here, let's pretend that we're in a loop. So the first step, tail prints out the data that's within this node, advance tail to point to whatever tail arrow prev is pointing to. Execute the loop again. Print out the data, advance tail to point to whatever this node is pointing to, which is tail arrow prev. Execute the loop again. Print out the data that's within this node, advance tail to point to whatever tail arrow prev is pointing to, which is this pointer here. Finally, we hit null, and then we exit the loop. Now, what's wrong with this approach? Well, if I do it this way, tail would no longer be pointing to the last node within the list, and tail is always supposed to point to the last node within the list. So one way to avoid that is to have a pointer that points to what tail is pointing to. So now I have this temporary pointer called n, and n is pointing to what tail is pointing to. Now let's execute the loop. Since n is pointing to this node, it has access to data. So we're just going to print out the data, advance n to point to n arrow prev. Execute the loop again. Print out the data, advance n to point to n arrow prev. Execute the loop again. Print out the data, advance n to point to n arrow prev, and that would give us the point to null. And that's how we would know to exit the loop. Alright, so now from here, let's actually take a look at how we would write this in code. Alright, so from here we have our toString reverse method. It's not going to return anything and it doesn't take in any parameters. So the first step, create a temporary pointer that points to the tail. So in order to do that, I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to say node star n is going to point to tail. And tail is our starting position because we're printing our list in reverse. If we were printing our list from start to finish, we would be pointing to the header. So the next step says create a loop that keeps executing till the pointer is null. So we're just going to use a simple while loop. While n does not equal to null, keep executing this code. So let me just put these comments within the loop. Alright, so the first step within the loop is to print the data at the node that we're currently at. Then once we print the data at the node that we're currently at, advance the pointer to the next node. So n is going to be pointing at n arrow prev because we're going in backwards. If we were going in forwards, we would use n arrow next as opposed to n arrow prev. Then from here, I'm just going to have a new line printed out. So now I'm just going to save this. I'm going to go down to our main method. So I already have this written out. We have 1, 2, 3. We printed forward first, and then we print it in reverse. So now let's compile this. And now let's execute it. And from here, you can see that our list gets printed out forward first because we called the toString method. And then it gets printed out in reverse because we called the toString reverse method. So that's pretty much how you would print out a doubly linked list in reverse.